to take some calls now. We've got Brian, who's been holding for quite some time from Iowa. Brian, you're on the air with us. What's going on?
Hi. I just wanted to call and tell you guys, I got a couple points, but first one I wanted to say thank you for all the amazing work you guys do at InfoWars.
Thank you.
I know, right?
You're part of the info war, so thank you.
Thank you. And I wanted to tell Alex, I think one of the most important things that he talks about is his belief in God and Jesus Christ. I have not always been the most faithful Christian and had temporarily questioned my faith at different points in my life by listening to fake science. And I wanted to tell your listeners that in the last several months, I've felt God's presence and love, and there is no doubt that God is real, and he loves all of us. I think that if we want to beat the evil we are up against, we as a people need to find our way back to God and Jesus Christ. You don't need a church necessarily to be close with God. You can speak to him at any time through prayer.
Absolutely.
On a final note, go ahead.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is a spiritual battle, and it's kind of one of the big lies is that you need a church to go inside. God's right there. Last points, Brian.
Speak directly to God through prayer. And on a final note, I think that Donald Trump has been so successful because he is the American dream personified and is the true champion of the American people. The way he campaigned using his own money allowed him to showcase his success while at the same time emphasizing his self-sacrifice to serve the country he loves. So I'd like to say thank you to President-elect Trump for your sacrifices and your family's sacrifices to go through this trial by fire for the American people.
Yeah, I'm with you, Brian. Let's go to Jeff. Thank you so much for calling. Jeff has been holding for quite some time. Jeff, you're on the air with Leanne and myself. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Good job, ladies. Great field work you did. I'd like to talk about crisis, and like Rahm Emanuel said, you can never let the crisis go to waste. The mainstream media is in a crisis right now because they're not controlling the narrative.
Right.
And since we're talking about climate and weather and everything, we really can't have a conversation about that unless we talk about geoengineering, which is happening. Nobody wants to talk about it. I wish it wasn't happening. I live in Southern California here, and it's mind blowing what we see every day here. And so I think that now that we're controlling the narrative, InfoWars and the real media, the fake news, right? That we should talk about these fake chemtrails that really don't exist, and the geoengineering, and really spotlight that issue. I think it's a great time to do that. What do you think?
I mean,
well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think one of the most powerful ways to do that is by using their own language against them and by going and showing people the bills that are passed through Congress that these won't be used as weapons of war. That it is happening.
Not only that, Jeff, your first point about Rahm Emanuel, I was so disappointed. Trump's been entertaining a lot of people in Trump Tower. Rahm Emanuel, of course, went to talk about immigration. And look, I felt like, his policy, he was basically bullying Trump in the media, saying, we're a sanctuary city, we're not going to honor you. I didn't really like the fact that Trump had entertained him to listen to his immigration stance. Do you find that as concerning as I do? Just back to your first point.
There's a lot of things that I question, but I trust, I just have a level of trust of what he's doing. I think that he's smart. I'm not sure what his game plan is with him meeting with people that are very questionable, clearly, the opposition, from their records. So I don't know what exactly what he's doing, but I just have a level of trust in what he's doing. But I think that we need to help him because everybody knows that, that Donald, he's not tech savvy. He doesn't get a lot of his information from the internet. He's grown up reading the paper and watching the news. And so I think that it's important that the rest of us get behind him and educate him, however we can do that. But I think we just need to watch and see what he's doing. But I agree with you. Yeah, it's very disturbing to see him, meeting with certain individuals that, clearly
raise the red flags for all of us. Jeff, thank you so much. And it's true, we do see him meeting with people, Kissinger, and you're thinking, well, what the heck? But he's been a businessman. He's been around these people for quite some time. He kind of knows what he's dealing with there in the swamp. But I think it speaks volumes that he has Steve Bannon there.
I do too.
And that right there lets you know that he's got someone who's in a top position.
I love that caller's point to stand behind him, and that's exactly what we're doing. The past 8 weeks, we have been hammering Clinton, and now that Trump's in office, we all want to see him make good on these promises. It's a little disconcerting when you've got people like Rahm Emanuel, who is arguably the godfather of Chicago, making his case for immigration. But we're going to stand behind him.
Crime has accelerated under him.
We're going to take one one more caller. John from Texas, you've been holding a while. Hi, John. You're on with Leanne and myself. How are you?
I'm great, actually.
What did you want to talk about?
yeah,
Banker, globalist elite takeover?
Yes, I'm a banker. I graduated Texas State and started working in the banking industry in '07 before the crash, and have seen what a lot of these elitists and bankers have done to really just manipulate and completely control the system. And people just don't really realize what's going on. They don't realize that in the early '90s, the top 5 or 6 banks in the world, in the United States, controlled only roughly 10% of the assets, which nowadays it's 15 trillion. Now they control about 50% of the world's assets, which is just crazy. That just shows in such a short time how far they've come and how far they're going to go, because nobody's stopping them. Nobody's standing up. They have all these blacklists. Why don't we have a patriot list where we only do business with conservatives with similar ideals and values? Why don't we counter what they're doing by hitting them where it hurts in their pockets?
Right, exactly. Just for instance, with all of the advertisers who are trying to blacklist Breitbart. And so people are pushing back saying, you know what, if you're not going to advertise on Breitbart, then screw you. We're not going to buy your products, and we're going to vote with our dollars. And we need to all get behind and support Breitbart in this effort.
That really chapped me. That BMW story where they're going to yank their advertisements from Breitbart News, one of the most popular news sites globally. Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. They're going to shoot themselves in the foot to avoid.
Meanwhile, it's totally fine. Mike Cernovich was actually posting this on his Twitter. You'll see all these advertisements for Grubhub and others on salon.com with the pedophile article, where it's basically making the case, I'm a pedophile, not a monster. And then you see all these advertisements. HP, are you okay that you're advertising next to an article advocating pedophilia? I mean,
they want to normalize it, John. And I love your point about how, we should take a stand and we should actually honor patriots in business. But at the same time, if you believe in liberty, you want to do business with everyone. Politics should not be a part of business, frankly.
Right. And that's why they make the mistake, is when they do try to politicize. Yeah. It's like, just make the Frosted Flakes and, leave me alone.
Stay out of it. Exactly.
Politics.
John, thank you so much. All right. Well, Leanne, I wanted to talk about this with you, and hopefully we get it. I know you've got something. I'll let you go. We're going to get to this Russian hacker story and how this order of an intelligence report that's being led by Republicans, by the way, if you can believe this is still going on, but you brought us something about ISIS.
Well, no, they're really pushing, and I want everyone out there to just understand the huge psyop that is happening still and will continue on happening. They're really trying to ramp up this effort that this election is illegitimate. The Russians helped Donald Trump by creating all this fake news and pushing out this propaganda. The Electoral College got him in. He didn't win the popular vote. And of course, that's what Michael Moore was really pushing last on Seth Meyers, is that, he didn't really actually win because he didn't win the popular vote. And so they're really trying to make people feel as though this is an illegitimate election. And
well, look, get this.
Insane.
So, New York Times, obviously fake news, but I had to pull this. I visit their site anyway. I can't help myself. We're reporters. We check out the news.
Gotta look at it all.
Obama orders intelligence report on Russian election hacking. They're still not letting this go, folks. And then the very first line, Obama has ordered American intelligence agencies to produce a full report on Russian efforts to influence the 2016 presidential election. So he's tying up DHS with this type stuff to investigate the Russians, because those bad old Russians, they're the reason Donald Trump's in office. And Max Kaiser was just here, who's an RT.
And you.
RT
Oh my God, hold on.
I was a former RT reporter.
Putin.
And I can tell you right now, that content is really uncensored. They basically let us say whatever we want to say, which is, it shouldn't be news if you're listening to it.
No red phone ringing from the Kremlin?
There isn't one at all. And they're not going to let this die. What do you think this says about their credibility? Or just desperation, maybe.
Well, and so there's a great article up on The Intercept where pointing out just one of the phrase fake news and how it is the people that are most aggressively disseminating that this fake news are the people that are pushing it. One thing he points out with the WikiLeaks is one of the biggest fake news pieces that came out that MSNBC and others really ran with was the fact that the WikiLeaks emails were doctored. We can't even look at them. We can't even open them. The Russians and hackers are altering the emails. Don't look into Jean Podesta's emails because they've been altered. And so the news, they just said, well, okay, they've been altered. Experts say, we're getting, officials tell us that these emails, WikiLeaks, have been doctored with no proof whatsoever. It would be so simple to take your computer and say, here's the email I sent, and then here's what's on WikiLeaks, obviously fabricated, but they didn't do that. They just pushed out this narrative that they've been altered, so don't even open them.
Well, they have to, make WikiLeaks illegitimate. They've got to bastardize it however they can so that we don't look at it. Do you remember Donna Brazile saying that she thought it was a crime? CNN was pushing this for a long time. They thought it was a crime to look at these emails.
Oh, yeah,
You're
only
a criminal
CNN,
if you
because a lot
look at WikiLeaks. Really? Okay. Yeah, I guess we're all criminals.
Yeah,
because I've been looking
we
at
are deplorable.
Right.
So we are deplorables looking into, investigative journalism, also known as conspiracy theorists. Speaking of, something else that was some fake news we pumped out quite some time ago was the fact that arming and funding ISIS and other terrorist organizations, well, that was, fake news or whatever. But of course, we forced that to come out. It is true. And now lawmakers, Tulsi Gabbard actually introduced this bill, the Democrat from Hawaii, Stop Arming Terrorists Act. So this is a bill introduced. It aims to protect U.S. taxpayers' dollars from being spent on supporting and arming international terrorist groups through covert operations and third states. So, here they're basically saying, look, there's this widely reported U.S. practice of indirectly sponsoring terrorism. And so they want to make it illegal for any U.S. government agency to assist extremist groups directly or indirectly, be it through the sale of weapons, field training, or intelligence assistance. Because she and other lawmakers are saying, look, if you or I were providing them assistance or giving them intelligence, we'd be in prison.
Leanne, they do this without shame. Do you remember John McCain going on the ground and saying, we need to arm these people, they're humanitarian fight? No, they weren't. Can you imagine if Syria did that to us? They found a crazy group of, I don't know, neo-Nazis, for example, somewhere and decided to arm them because it's their humanitarian right to do so?
Or even, arming the people who want to overthrow President-elect Donald Trump.
Right.
I mean, there's a bunch of crazies out there that would be willing to take up arms and take Donald Trump out. I mean, so then you have this rogue government coming in and arming the moderate protesters.
The moderate.
It's madness.
It is madness. We're going to take a second now. We do this because we love liberty so much, and we frankly love you. This is a labor of love over here. We couldn't do this without our great Infowars.com store. We're offering some really great specials and deals. I'll let you talk more about this. Leanne's got this fantastic way of talking about these products.
Well, I was actually just using our new ozonated olive oil on my hands. I actually need some more because, man, this weather is like super crepey skin. This is like the ultimate reptilian hand layer. So that's the ozonated olive oil skin cream. It's back in stock. We've been out of it for 6 months because it's sold out right away. It uses organic extra virgin olive oil. It's loaded with pure oxygen and ozone to help soothe and moisturize your skin. I love it. I use it on my hands, my lips. I put it up around my eyes so it helps those little eye wrinkles, keeps everything luscious and moist.
Not only this, and this is probably one of our favorite products here because we put in a lot of long hours, frankly. Final day for DNA Force for 25% off at InfoWarsLife.com. You don't want to miss that because we rarely do things like this, but it's happening now.
Tonight only.
It's tonight only. Also, the InfoWars Trump is my president shirt. Under $10. I don't have a single shirt in my closet that is under $10, except, you know what? This fantastic shirt. What a bargain. Love this. Also, let's talk a little bit about the Liberty Movement and how InfoWars were under attack. We do need your support to keep this up. And this is how we do it, folks. And these great specials. You mentioned the olive oil hand cream. I guess that's what I'm going to start calling it. I actually need to check that out myself when I get off the air here because of the Austin air.
Weather.
It is literally.
I hate having crepey skin.
It is eating my face off, frankly, as we speak. As we speak. I want to take you guys to this story now. And I love this story, frankly, because it talks about the insanity. You know what? This is a holiday season. We're in holiday time right now. And Guatemalans, they're burning an effigy to get rid of evil spirits. And hey, there's nothing wrong with trying to get rid of evil spirits, but they're burning the likeness of Donald Trump, it's called the Devil Festival, frankly. And I know we didn't talk about this prior because this massive piñata of Donald Trump, you know what? I just honestly, the spread of real fake news, this is what they're doing to cultures around the world. We have an obligation in our Liberty Movement to fight stuff like this.
Well, the leaders are saying, you know what? It was a joke. It was a party. Ha ha.
Oh, yeah.
Death to America.
Death to America.
Just kidding.
I before we got on the air, I was trying to figure out how much our State Department has given Guatemala. I couldn't come up with a conclusive number, but they're burning an effigy of our future president.
With devil horns.
With devil horns.
Right.
That's nice of them, don't you think?
Yeah.
Here in the States, Trump also under attack, and forgive me, New York Times again, I can't help myself here, Leanne. Campuses across America, those that are actually, how should I put this, in the right somewhat, who want their Trump-supporting students to have the right to say that they're Trump-supporting students. Apparently, they're creating safe spaces for Trump supporters because of all the hostility that's been expressed toward them. We cover these cases often. And specifically, we're going to get more into this.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like the snowflakes of the season. They're all around. And of course, the Trump supporters, they don't want these safe spaces, but frankly, they need them when you have these people coming out protesting conservative events. And
That's right. That's right. So you know what? We're going to get more into this in these little safe spaces when we come back after this break. Also, we're going to get into this Orange Coast College teacher calling Trump's victory an act of terror.
oh my, and of course, it's the student that's to blame for catching this all on film, not the teacher.
Right.
God, thank God I graduated.
More than 20 years ago, when I started InfoWars, I was a fitness addict. As time went on, my metabolism slowed down. I quit working out. I was working 18 hours a day, and I gained right at 100 pounds. I started to exercise really hard again, and I started to try to eat healthier. Started taking third-party supplements. Started seeing some more gains. But when I started working with Dr. Group and some of the other top formulators in the country, they said, Alex, it's all about trace elements and things that the population is absolutely deficient in. Boom, weight started pouring off. Toxins started coming out of my body. Then, by early 2016, I was in the best shape of my life since I'd been in really good shape in my 20s. But the election heated up. I started working 14, 15, 16 hours a day. But more importantly, I stopped taking the supplements because we rearranged the kitchen and somebody took the Lazy Susan off the kitchen table where I took some every morning, and I just kind of forgot about it. It was out of sight, out of mind. And so then I realized this morning, I said, we're going to put the Lazy Susan back on the table, and I'm going to start taking it religiously again. And I'm going to work out like I've been the last few weeks at the same level. It's the holiday, so I'll probably eat more. And whatever the results are, I'm going to publish the findings. It's December 5th, 2016. We're only like 25 days from 2017. And I want to invite all of the info warriors of every race, color, and creed that bleed red blood and love liberty, justice, and truth to make our bodies great again.
We're going to take some calls now. We've got Brian, who's been holding for quite some time from Iowa. Brian, you're on the air with us. What's going on?
Hi. I just wanted to call and tell you guys, I got a couple points, but first one I wanted to say thank you for all the amazing work you guys do at InfoWars.
Thank you.
I know, right?
You're part of the info war, so thank you.
Thank you. And I wanted to tell Alex, I think one of the most important things that he talks about is his belief in God and Jesus Christ. I have not always been the most faithful Christian and had temporarily questioned my faith at different points in my life by listening to fake science. And I wanted to tell your listeners that in the last several months, I've felt God's presence and love, and there is no doubt that God is real and he loves all of us. I think that if we want to beat the evil we are up against, we as a people need to find our way back to God and Jesus Christ. You don't need a church necessarily to be close with God. You can speak to him at any time through prayer.
Absolutely.
On a final note, go ahead.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is a spiritual battle, and it's kind of one of the big lies is that you need a church to go inside. God's right there. Last points, Brian.
Speak directly to God through prayer. And on a final note, I think that Donald Trump has been so successful because he is the American dream personified and is the true champion of the American people. The way he campaigned using his own money allowed him to showcase his success while at the same time emphasizing his self-sacrifice to serve the country he loves. So I'd like to say thank you to President-elect Trump for your sacrifices and your family's sacrifices to go through this trial by fire for the American people.
Yeah, I'm with you, Brian. Let's go to Jeff. Thank you so much for calling. Jeff has been holding for quite some time. Jeff, you're on the air with Leanne and myself. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Good job, ladies. Great field work you did. I'd like to talk about crisis, and like Rahm Emanuel said, you can never let a crisis go to waste. The mainstream media is in a crisis right now because they're not controlling the narrative.
Right.
And since we're talking about climate and weather and everything, we really can't have a conversation about that unless we talk about geoengineering, which is happening. Nobody wants to talk about it. I wish it wasn't happening. I live in Southern California here, and it's